Welcome back to Do Not Rescue. We're continuing on our series about the survival pack. Today we're talking about food and water. First, let's talk about water. So something important to think about when you're designing this is what kind of containers should you use for the water. That kind of depends on what you're building your survival pack for. If you're building it for wilderness, I recommend having 2 half-gallon bottles of water. These often have little hoops or loop things on the cap, which means they can easily be clipped onto the side of your pack. The reason I say have these half-gallon bottles is because the general recommendation is to have 1 gallon of water per person per day. If you're designing your pack for a shelter-in-place scenario, then having just gallon jugs of water is totally fine. Next, let's talk about water purification methods. I've already briefly mentioned these in another video, and in the future I'm going to be making an in-depth tutorial on them. Basically, these items are what you use to purify any water that you may find. The 2 main methods for this are to use regular, unscented household bleach or a life straw. There are also other methods, for example iodine tablets or boiling the water. Next up, let's talk about how to source water. This is going to be very important. If you're in a wilderness situation, there's a more than likely chance that you are going to need to find water in order to drink. To do this, always look for running water sources. It's also very important to know the location of running water sources near you. In fact, this is going to be part of the assignment at the end of the lesson. Next up, let's talk about food. Food is going to be another thing that's very important in any kind of crisis situation. So the first thing that you may be asking is what kind of food to bring. This is what I recommend. These are these little dehydrated, freeze-dried packets of food. There's a couple reasons that I recommend this. Number one, these generally have a shelf life of upwards of 30 or 40 years. Next, these are generally pretty small and lightweight, so they don't take up a lot of space. And the other thing is that these are generally very high in nutritional value. There are a lot of different choices that you can choose from. You can buy a ton of these. There are a ton of different brands. I have 2 of them right now. Both of these are from Peak Refuel, not sponsored. I have beef stroganoff here and pasta marinara, but there are hundreds, if not thousands, of choices available online or in stores. The other option, which is sort of less than ideal for food to bring in your survival pack, are canned food or dehydrated food. So you have cans of beans or canned soup or tomatoes or something like that, or dehydrated foods like pasta, rice, or oats or something like that. I generally don't really recommend these. Of course they do work, but these can take up a lot more space. These are also a lot heavier, and some of this stuff has a pretty short shelf life in comparison to the dehydrated food. Next up, let's talk about how to cook food. This is what I recommend. This is a little folding stove. It also comes with a couple canisters of fuel. And the other thing that I recommend for cooking food is to have a very small kettle or something to boil water in. And this can also be used to purify water as well. Your assignment for today is going to have 2 parts. The first part is to make a list of at least 3 sources of running water near you. The next part of the assignment, you're going to make a list of the different kinds of food that you might want to have in your pack, as well as to try to find some supplies for cooking. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.